Hello, everyone. Welcome to Advent Broadcast Network. On this Tuesday, we have a special feature that's going to be running for the next 3 weeks. And we have Dr. McEndree. We have Dr. Nancy and Dr. Duane McEndree from Florida who are going to join us for a health talk today. We are so blessed to have them, and I'm hoping that they will give us tips and teach us about how to keep healthy because it is very paramount for us at this time to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I'll be your host for today, Jen Nguena. Thank you so much for joining us at the studio, Dr. McEndree. And thank you so much for joining us, Liz. Liz is going to introduce both the dad and mom and usher us into the program today. Hello, Liz.
Hello, Jay, and thank you for that introduction. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first Health Talk live streaming program on Advent Broadcast Network. I'm Liz Holleyman, and I will be the anchor and announcer for Health Talk. I would like to take a moment and tell you a little about the host of our program, Drs. Duane and Nancy McEndree. Duane and Nancy are naturopathic doctors and PhDs. They are certified nutritional consultants, master herbalists, and biological ionization specialists. In addition, Dr. Duane has a doctorate in divinity with health evangelism. Nancy's PhD specialty is in health education. Doctors Duane and Nancy are nationally known Christian speakers in naturopathic and integrative medicine. Their live show is a call-in program where listeners are invited to participate with questions and information on the health topic of the day. Now, today is our very first program, so we won't be having a call-in on the very first one today, but subsequent episodes will have that. So we'll give you the information and numbers as we go on a little bit. I also would like to share with our viewers that the doctors of Health Talk are not medical practitioners. They do not treat, cure, diagnose, or mitigate any condition or disease. All information or suggestions made during this presentation are for educational purposes only. Please check with your healthcare professional before beginning any new regimen. And so without any further ado, here is Drs. Duane and Nancy McEndree. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi, Liz. Hi.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
A little bit of feedback, I'm afraid, but we're welcoming everyone that's listening today, sweetheart.
Yes, we hope that each one that is listening can experience some better health as we present our programs. We'll be covering quite a few different subjects, and we hope as we go through these various topics on regard to health that you can be benefited by enjoying what we call optimum health.
Well, today, sweetheart, our topic is about the 10 laws of health, and we call them lovingly the 10 doctors. And it's very, very important today because of the pandemic, the worldwide pandemic that is around the world right now with this COVID-19. People get an immune that is really, really strong. And we believe that these doctors, these 10 laws, are going to help people. And and really the very first one is my favorite one and probably the most important. Would you say so?
That's right. It's God's first law, or the first doctor we're going to cover is godly trust.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
Psalms 91 is one of my favorite verses. And I'm going to read Psalms 91, verses 1 through 4. It says, He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and thy buckler.
Amen. And sweetheart, you know very well that I have a Bible open in every book of our house, in every room of our house, rather.
Yes.
And it's open to the 91st Psalm because in Florida right now, we are in the hurricane season. And without much warning, we can crop up with hurricanes. And this promise of God says, no noisome pestilence shall come near thy. Is a hurricane noiseless?
It has a lot of noise with it.
Yes, it does. And it brings pestilence, doesn't it?
You know, Chicago just this last a day or so ago, they had a big hurricane or big windstorm that went through Chicago, and I know that there was a lot of houses that were destroyed during that hurricane. But these people are suffering without any electricity or any. The streets are completely destroyed, and a lot of the houses, the roofs blew off from them.
On top of all of the violence that's going on in our big cities, then now, we have this pestilence in the form of hurricanes that are coming this time of year. And so this is very important that we can claim God's promise that it will not come near thy dwelling. And, sweetheart, I've said many times when I feel a little bit discouraged that I've done everything that I think I can do, I say to you oftentimes, well, we know that man's extremities are God's opportunities. So when we claim these promises that God all throughout his holy book, then we can say, God, I've done everything I can. So please, you take over. And so these 10 laws are things that we can learn to do that will help us be healthy. And so the very first one is a godly trust.
You know, sweetheart, when you were a little child, you experienced a lot of stress. And the people can look at this picture of the book right behind us. And we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later on, how each one can have one of those books in their home. And did you have a lot of stress as a child growing up?
We had a lot of stress. We had dysfunction, tremendous dysfunction in my family that I grew up in, and even violence. And as a little girl, I didn't know too much about God, but I knew He existed. And I would just, as a little child, say, "I need your help, Lord. I need your help." And so that is what we are claiming when we claim the first law, godly trust. We tell the Lord, Lord, I can only do so much as a human, but you can do everything. And one of my favorite hymns is Only Believe. And I play that on the organ quite often for both of us. Only believe, all things are possible if we only. So we, especially in these last days we're in right now, we have to trod when everything's bleak. We have to say, Lord, I don't care what I'm saying. Trust you. You're still on the throne. You're going to bring us through. We have to say,
Song, sweetheart, God will take care of you.
yes.
Think of this text in 91. It talks about the covered his feathers. You know, as a child, I grew up on a farm, and the chickens, when they were in the chicken coop and a storm would come around, the chickens would all go under the mother hen. And it's a wonderful picture in my mind about how that God will take care of us. He will spread his wings and cover us so we don't have to worry about all the stress and all the things that are coming upon the world. And we know as a people that according to the Bible, it's going to be some troublesome times in the very near future.
A lot of stress on today. We have people calling and talking to us about stress. And you have faith, it really is the opposite of stress. If you can give it to the Lord and say, Lord, again, man's extremities are your opportunities. So we do what we can and trust God. He is on the throne. He is not going to let anything pass the throne room that ultimately is not for our good. Now, it may not be for our good right now, and we're going to be going through some rough times, but ultimately, God is going to bring us through. I truly, with all my heart and soul, believe that. So do we need to go on to our next doctor?
All right, let's go on to our second doctor. This doctor is about water.
Yes, oh my. That's kind of a fun one to talk about, you know. When we were in practice, sweetheart, with our work as medical missionaries, we were medical missionaries for over 25 years. Many people would say to us, you remember it, I'm sure,
Yeah.
I hate water. I drink Coke, I drink Pepsi, I drink coffee, I drink all of this stuff, but I don't like water. And you know, I had kind of a curt answer for that. I would say, well, isn't that interesting? Why don't you tell that to God? Because all of God's creations have to use water. And there's nothing like water. You cannot substitute anything for it. We all need water.
But you know, sweetheart, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find good pure water, especially in cities. You know,
Exactly.
down here in Florida, we have a, a city by the name of Orlando.
Mhm.
And every time I go to Orlando to try to get pure, clean water, I taste an awful sulfur taste in the water
And the fluoride,
and
it's
fluoride.
loaded with fluoride.
But here in Zephyr Hills, we have quite a nice supply of water that it keeps us refreshed each day, and we can drink our quantity that we need each day.
But even Zephyr Hills water, honey, is not the same as distilled water. You and I drink distilled water, and that's what I recommend to clients that talk to us because it helps pull out toxins from the system.
Right.
And so, you know, our water table are beginning to be more and more toxic all over the world. Fresh, clean water is at a premium. And so we all need to drink water. Every living thing, plant life as well, has to have water.
Well, our body is 70% water, and,
Truly.
and the millions of cells inside of us are constantly being bathed in water. Water is in the blood brings nutrition and oxygen to our tissues and carries off waste products.
Exactly. So it not only brings nutrition to the cells in the body, but it helps us to clear out the toxins from our system.
So,
That's so very important.
so is that kind of a delicate chemical balance?
It certainly is. And honey, all of us have to drink the same amount of water.
Well, no, not really. We don't. You know, the old rule used to be that we needed to 8 glasses of water every day, and you know that is a different with another. So they need more.
Yes.
So how much do we need?
Okay. So I'm going to use you as an example because I'm not real good at math. And so my husband weighs about 200 pounds, and you divide that by two. So that means that you need to drink 100 ounces of water in some form. I mean, you can even drink maybe some tea, some herbal tea, and count that. But you need to drink 100 ounces every day to nourish your cells and also to get rid of those toxins that build up in that body.
So to to put it into easy to understand language, it probably is about 3/4 of a gallon of water to drink.
Yeah.
Now, if I drink some, let's see, some juices and other things like milk, and do they all count as far as liquid?
I would say no. Because is that going to take the waste away from your body? Now, it may nourish your cells,
Yeah.
but I'm also concerned that the water also carries away waste. So if you drink a glass of milk, and of course we don't endorse dairy milk, it's the so not so. I mean, I never endorse that. The cashew milk or coconut milk or something like that.
So my Dr. Pepper and my Mountain Dew doesn't count.
I don't think you drank that for many, all the way we've been married over almost 30 years now. I've never seen you drink a Dr. Pepper or Coke. Those are very bad substances to drink. And we, one day, we probably will have a program on that.
What about coffee?
No. Coffee has got caffeine, and no, we don't endorse that either. There's nothing that can replenish our cells and replace water, pure, clean water, nothing.
Like you said a little bit earlier, we drink distilled water, don't we?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I do feel that that is the better way to go. But there are some people that drink alkaline water and filtered water, and I would that's good. I mean, they really need to, if they're getting the water, the amount of water they need every day. I'm real happy when they counsel with me. I'm very, very happy because most people go around being very much not hydrated, dehydrated. And a very good way of testing whether you're hydrated or not is to take your wrist like this and pinch it together and pull it up. It has to snap right back. If it doesn't, then you are dehydrated. And another way of showing whether you've got a hydration problem is if your saliva is sticking together when you're speaking. A very good favor you can do anyone like that you're seeing like that. Give them a glass of water. That shows they're having hydration problems. Water is irresistible. We have to have it every day, and it has to be clean and pure. And so please remember, you cannot be healthy if you're not drinking pure water.
Well, I guess we've covered the first two doctors
Yes.
now. And so I think we're going to take a little bit of break and let our daughter talk about the books we have available.
Okay, Liz, are you there, sweetheart?
I sure am. Thank you so much for this information. In this day and age of silly, everyone is wondering what they can do to be and stay in good health. And it's very nice to have these practical things that we can do right now, today, to help our health. I would like to introduce our audience to two books today. The first one is by Nancy, and it is called White Chocolate, Remembering Brother Jim. And this is a beautiful book written by Nancy, a story of surviving childhood abuse, pain, chaos, and divine redemption. And all of us, or many of us anyway, can probably relate to pain in our childhood. And let me just tell you a little bit about this. White Chocolate, Remembering Brother Jim by Nancy Carroll McEndree is a story of loving siblings who went through the ups and downs of life together and apart. The autobiography was started by Jim while he was battling leukemia and was affectionately picked up by Nancy when Jim finally succumbed to death. Jim went to sleep in the promise of God that he would be resurrected by Jesus when the graves of those who love the Lord will be opened at the first resurrection. Jim and Nancy and all those that love God will be caught up together to meet Jesus in the air. What a wonderful, awesome reunion that will be. I've read this book, and let me tell you, for many of us, it can be a tearjerker. It can definitely be a tearjerker, but this was written with such love. And we hear so many stories about pain and abuse and chaos, and what a wonderful, wonderful story to read that ends with divine redemption. And I think all of us could use a little bit of hope in these troubling times. So pick up this book and it'll encourage you. It'll definitely encourage you. And then another one that I want to introduce is The Body Temple. This was written by both Duane and Nancy. This is a beautiful book. This is a little bit more informational. If I remember correctly, it was part of their PhD thesis. And let me share just a little bit with you about this one. From the beginning of time, mankind has searched the heavens to solve mysteries that would explain their existence on this unique blue planet. Huge telescopes have been developed that reveal some of the amazing intricacies of the universe. They turn these telescopes into microscopes. The doctors reveal in a unique way how God has placed within every system of the body, every microscopic cell, a revelation of his plan of salvation. The story of redemption is told in the Mass as we search the universe within the human body. So like it says, this is about the body temple. And as we're told in the Bible, our bodies are the temple of God, and we want to take care of them to the best of our ability with God. So this is a just power-packed book full of information. It will help you with any study that you would want to do. And it's a wonderful, wonderful read. So I want to let you know that you can find these on Amazon.com. And if you have any trouble for any reason on Amazon, you can find them both there. But if you have any trouble at all, get a hold of Nancy or Duane at MadunaHealthInternational.org. That's their website. All one word, MadunaHealthInternational.org. And we can help you out. We can get a copy to you. So that's what I want to share with you today about these books. And now we're going to go back to Nancy and Duane for our second half of the program. And let's talk a little bit about these wonderful doctors. And as Nancy says, these doctors make house calls. What a concept that is. So back to you, Dr. Duane and Nancy.
Thank you very much, Liz, for your advertising of our books there. We want to encourage those people that are really interested in studying about God's Word and the health laws to get a hold of these books some way or another so that they can have them in their possession. You can see up here behind us that we have quite a number of books that we have in our library. And we enjoy reading a book all the time and to help us with our mission that is
we have to research a lot, don't we, sweetheart?
Yes, we do.
I want to just add, Liz, that our email address is Meduna, MEDUNA, health, HEALTH, for you, the number 4 in lowercase u at gmail.com. Because if you don't put 4U in there, you won't get through to us. So Meduna Health.
Now that is your your email address.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. And if you would like the viewers to contact you at your email address, it is MedunaHealth4U@gmail.com. Or if they'd like to visit your website, that's MadunaHealthInternational.org. That's the website. So thank you. They would have access to you through either email or website. So thank you for adding that.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you very much. Yes, well, we've got a third doctor here.
Yes, our third doctor is called rest. And at 84 years of age, sweetheart, I enjoy my rest each day. And I enjoy getting my 8 hours of sleep, and I also take a few naps during the day.
Yeah, and you don't apologize for it, do
No,
you?
I don't. Because this is a favorite text that my father used to tell me about. It's found in Ecclesiastes, 5th chapter, and verse 12. It says, the sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. I wonder why that the rich cannot sleep very good.
Well, they probably don't sleep very well because they're not moving as much as when you were out in the lumberjack business, when you were with your dad. You did a lot of moving and sawing and all kinds of activity.
Well, I think another reason why that they can't sleep very good is because that they're kind of afraid that somebody's going to take their money away from them.
Wow, I believe that too. Yes.
When you're just a laboring man and you work hard every day, you don't have to worry about the people taking your money away because
you haven't got any.
Haven't got any.
Yes. But God provides, doesn't He? We always have enough. And as missionaries for almost 30 years, you cannot replace the joy that we've had in helping people and traveling all over the United States and doing seminars. And then when we were on the radio, it was a joy. Now, of course, we have much more sophistication going on, although they still do radio work.
That's right.
And we enjoyed radio work very much.
Well, one thing I know about resting and sleeping, sweetheart, is that I enjoy going to bed fairly early in
You
the
do.
evening,
Yes,
and
you
I
do.
wake up at a real good hour. I grew up on a farm, and so I have got used to getting to bed early and rising early. And early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy. Well, I haven't had a lot of wealth in my life, but I do have pretty good health in that I do not have any I'm not on any kind of drugs or do not have any sickness, even at 84 years of age.
That's right. And we also like to get up by around 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier because we're both writers and we are collaborating on another book about our experience as medical missionaries called Go Sendai You. We're writing right now. And it's quiet. The phone doesn't ring and it's just quiet and we can really think. And also we also have worship at that time which sets our course for the day. We have to start our course for the day that way, to ask God to help us in what we're going to be facing for the day, and also to give us the wisdom of what we're going to be writing about. So it's a very, very wonderful relationship that we can have with rest and waking up well rested. When you have the Lord as the first doctor, and then you can get restorative rest. And the Deuteronomy 24, I think, honey, is another one that think of that.
24 and verse 13, it says, "Thou shalt deliver him when the sun goeth down, that he may sleep."
Yeah,
So when the sun goes down, go to bed, stay in. And it's very important, sweetheart, as we have known that you have complete darkness, so you don't have any light coming in. Even night light is very, it interrupts your what we call REM,
circadian sleep.
and
Circadian
and
sleep.
you don't get that deep REM sleep that we
Yes,
need.
absolutely. So you and I both wear masks because we do have night lights. Because oftentimes we get up at the night time to go to the bathroom or whatever, and you even have calls sometimes from people late at night, which we'd rather not. But when people need us, they need us. And so we wear a mask to keep all of that light out. And sleep is when the body restores itself. I think of the bone marrow, for example, that we know that that is restored and repaired at night. So it's very, very important that we get at least 8 hours of sleep.
But
And
can
children is even more important, and they need more sleep, don't they? Reparative sleep, restorative sleep, especially teenagers that really don't oftentimes get the amount of sleep that they need to have, and it affects their grades. It affects their interaction with the teachers and the students that are part of the classroom situation. So they need, in fact, teenagers need about 10 hours of sleep. Did you remember that?
right?
10 hours of sleep. And babies have to have a lot of sleep to grow. It's very important that they will get the sleep so that they can grow.
Well, not only do we need sleep every night, but we need to rest one day a week, don't we?
Absolutely. The
You
Sabbath day.
you
Yeah.
and I rest Sabbath day each week from our labors, and that is one of the things that the Bible teaches us, that we need rest on God's seventh day.
Yeah.
In fact, He made that day, set it apart, so that we
Sanctified it. Yes. Set apart and sanctified. And those are precious moments that we need to share and with the Lord. And the Lord is anxious to share those precious hours with us. So, and it also sets the next week, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
If you get that restorative rest, not only when you sleep at night, but on the Sabbath day, you're restored so that you can face the trials and the problems that are going to come in. And all of us, if you can't be living in this day and age without stresses and problems. We need to give our stresses to the Lord, as we said before, but still, it's a very difficult time to be living. However, the apostles prayed that they could be at the last days, they could be living during these last days.
That's right.
And so we have what we're going to do for the Lord, we need to be doing now, because the time is soon going to be that it will be no more. We cannot do any more. So let us take that into consideration, plan for those things during our workaday week.
Okay, we're going to go into the fourth doctor. Now we're going to talk about the air that we need each day. How long can we last without taking a breath?
Well, I think I remember it was about is that it? Before we have brain damage starting.
You can
Yes.
you can go 2 or 3 days without rest,
Maybe. I don't know.
but in order to get through a day, you've got to breathe.
You could go without food for maybe a number of days. I'm not sure exactly how many. The Lord went 40 days, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure in our state of health at the end of time if we could do that. But we have to breathe, don't we? And
When I think about fresh air, sweetheart, I think about Genesis, the second chapter, and verse 7. It says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." So, in order for man to become a living soul, he had to breathe. Is that right?
yes, yes. And this used to blow my mind, and it still is hard for me to understand. But do you know that 80% of our energy is derived from the air we breathe? The
I thought
energy, you might not believe that, but it's true. It's a medical truth.
most people don't believe that. They get most of their energy from the food that they're eating.
Yes, and really, as a naturopathic doctor, I would tend to believe that too, that it would be the food that nourishes our cells. But actually, it is a truth. If you can research it yourself, be a Berean, and check us out. And really, 80% of the energy that we have to live on is from the air that we breathe. So, what happens when our air becomes polluted? And what happens, sweetheart, when people cut down the trees?
Well, we
And
don't get we don't get those negative ions that the trees furnishes us with, and the oxygen is made first of all from the carbon dioxide that the plants take in to give out that the
so they breathe in what we spew out in carbon
that's
dioxide,
right.
and they give out oxygen. So I want to ask of these people that maybe really like living in the cities or think that it's sophisticated to live in the cities. I wonder how people can be really healthy in the cities when there are very few trees and there's lots and lots of stress and pollution is everywhere. I think it is a real blessing to be able to be out in the country.
It is.
Yes.
We need about 3,000 cubic feet of fresh air every hour of the day. That's a 3,000 cubic feet of fresh air every hour. That's a lot of air.
And also, I think it's important to know that I think it's at Liz's home, as I remember, she's got plants. We live in a very small country cottage because we're missionaries and it meets our needs very. But if you can have plants in your, they'll help you with the oxygen uptake that you need. And so I wish we had more room for them, but we do have a rose garden and we got trees growing out there and neem trees. These are all herbs that we're going to talk in another program. And we raise vegetables out there, don't we? I see Liz's picture on the screen, and she does too. She raises vegetables and all kinds of trees and herbs. So these are going to be upcoming programs that we're going to talk about this. So our fourth law is the fresh air. And I also want to mention this. I'm not sure how much time we have, but I would like to talk about when we get up in the morning. Do not make your bed. Really, if you want to have optimum health, I think this is important. In the fall of the year, we can open our windows and get the good negative ions that come in.
Yes.
But right now in Florida, it's 100 degrees and we cannot do that. But we need to air out our bed. And so for at least an hour, keep your bed unmade so that the bed can air out and we can get rid of a lot of the toxins that accumulate in the sheets and that kind of thing. So it's very important that you take that into consideration. And when you can open your windows, especially go outside if you can, and it's safe to when it's raining, especially in a thunderstorm. If it's safe to be open the window or to be out there at all, because those negative ions, boy, we really feel wonderful, don't we, when we get negative ions?
Right.
Because what's going on when we use air conditioners and heating devices in the home?
Yeah, we get the
Positive.
positive ion.
Yes, and you're going to feel dopey if you get too many of those, and especially if you're not eating right. If you're drinking these pops and things, and then you're not getting a lot of fresh vegetables and fruit. With these positive ions that are being given off by our air conditioners and in the heating time of the year, it makes a person just feel sluggish. So these negative ions that we get in good fresh air are so very, very important. So we've come to the end of our fourth doctor. Could someone kind of tell us how much time we have left? Anyone?
We are about halfway through our program, about 30 minutes into our program, and we have a half hour remaining.
Oh my word, I didn't think we would go through it so fast. Well, we can go back and talk about more things then.
I would like to talk a little bit about our book that Liz mentioned earlier in regard to the Body Temple book. You know, Nancy, you and I wrote that Body Temple book how many years ago now?
Oh my, I'm sure it's at least 15 years, 20 years maybe.
25 years.
25, okay, because that was our PhD. Yes. So it took us 5.5 years to write that book.
You know, every cell of the body tells a story about God's salvation plan. And it is amazing how that God put in every cell, every organ, and every system of the body his salvation plan. And this book has gone not only used in schools, but it's used around the world to teach anatomy and physiology. And I'm told that that's one of the subjects that we really need to teach the children about how the body works.
Well, we even, you and I started a naturopathic college called IIOM, the International Institute of Original Medicine, which is a distant education program for naturopaths and medical missionaries and therapists. And they use this book to teach. And Agatha Thrash, who taught for many years, she's now deceased, but they used that to train medical missionaries. As we've traveled around the United States and visited churches, many times we've seen that book in Sabbath school even.
Yeah.
So it's been out there a long time. And we trust that some of you are going to want to pick this up on Amazon. And I think you're going to see that anatomy and physiology has never, ever been taught from a Christian perspective the way our book does.
You finished up that book in a wonderful example about the skin. What do you think about the skin, sweetheart?
Okay. Well, in deference to the fresh air, and if you're not getting fresh air and you're not getting water, your skin, which is the largest organ of the body, is going to suffer, isn't it?
Yes.
And so the skin is made up of a protein called, and I'm going to laminin. Laminin. It holds everything together. And don't you know that oftentimes we look at people? I mean, I go to a doctor often, but I do go to a doctor because I have a pacemaker. And I told you that I had experienced very high stress levels and even violence as a youngster growing up. And it manifested as I got older. But I go into a doctor, and oftentimes I will see people my age and your age, their skin looks so bad. They're full of wrinkles, and their skin even looks like kind of like an alligator skin.
Right.
And if I have an opportunity, because we don't want to impose anything on people that don't want to hear about it, but if I have an opportunity, I will talk about drinking water and getting good fresh air, and that will change. That will make their skin so much better. And when you understand the makeup of the skin, the laminin, the protein that is found in the skin to hold the skin together, if you put it under a microscope, it is a story of salvation, of God's plan, because the skin, the laminin in the skin is shaped like a cross. Trillions and trillions of crosses in the skin. Isn't that beautiful how God did that? But it's wonderful to know that if we look around and really see in nature and even in the human body the masterpiece of God, how God has put his life-saving program, his salvational story. It's right there. And so
You and I got together, I guess, about 30 years ago, sweetheart, and we have been medical missionaries trying to teach people about these doctors, these 10 doctors. Every chance we get, we try
yes,
to teach people about these 10 doctors. And we actually even ran a health restoration center for several years
we did.
up in Tennessee.
It was called Remnant House, and it was hard work. But we had people come there for help and to help so they could feel better. Many of these people had cancer, and they went to doctors and they spent every bit of money that they pretty much had. So when they came to us to be with us, so that we could help them with things that we knew with simple home remedies and good nutrition, we fed them very well. And we tried to de-stress them within the natural ways of a naturopathic doctor. They would regain health many times. Now, we didn't always have 100% of that happen, but we did. It was very encouraging, even though it was very hard work. And so, Remnant Health.
Well, next week, sweetheart, we're going to talk a little bit about the fifth doctor, which is nutrition.
And that's going to take a whole program because we could go on and on and on about the abuses of not getting good nutrition. But we aren't going to talk about that very much today because we want to save that for one whole program.
Right.
But getting back to the air, oftentimes people that will just the city, sweetheart, and come back to fresh air in the countryside. One of the things you wouldn't believe this, maybe some of you, but probably a lot of you would. One of the things that we've even done with people that come that are puny, I guess I can use that word.
Puny.
We've taken them out and let them get their hands in the soil and water the plants. We have coconut trees. We name all of our, or at least I do. I name our coconut trees, and it is proven, believe it or not, that if you stroke the plants, that oftentimes they grow better. So one of our coconut trees is called Adam, and I go out and talk to Adam, and he's producing not coconut, excuse me, this is banana tree. This is a banana tree. We've got coconut and we've got pineapple trees. Actually, they're more like bushes, but he's a banana tree. And for the longest time, Adam wasn't producing bananas. And I used to go out there and talk to him and say, "Come on now, Adam," and stroke him. And what did we see about a month ago? Adam is producing bananas. But we take the people out, even that come here, and when they're out in the garden, they're breathing fresh, clean air, and they're getting labor, they're getting exercise, and the beautiful flowers that are growing out there. And the herbs, neem is a wonderful antioxidant, and it's a tree, and it's grown a lot. We got a baby, and it's huge now. Well, I don't know, how tall is it now? but you're getting fresh air when you go out into the garden and do that with people that come here.
Well,
That's
not only is the water and the rest and the exercise good for humans, but it's also good for. I know these banana trees that we're talking about, they get a lot of exercise by the wind blowing through their branches
right,
and they go flopping around all over the
right,
place.
right.
And they, of course, they get water. Every time it rains, they get lots of good water. And they get rest at night a lot of times too.
Yes, that's true. So the quality of the air and the water is so very, very important. And as we talked about a little bit before, we are getting water that is not fresh water anymore. Look at the ocean, sweetheart. What's going on in our oceans? And acid rain, we could talk a lot about acid rain from what we've done and to pollute our existence and our atmosphere. It will even kill plants, the acid rain.
That's right.
So,
We've had a lot of trouble with growing even tomato plants in
yes,
our garden because they need good fresh air and a lot of nice water
yes,
to drink, and so that to make these plants and make the fruits that they produce, healthy, you have to have good water and good nutrition.
yes. And even, right now, one of the doctors that we will be talking about is sunshine. And it is talk about sunshine. It is over 100 degrees today, dear ones. And our air conditioners are lumbering to cool. And we've on. What do you think is going on with our garden when we have temperatures of over 100 degrees? Duane and I spend a lot of time uh, getting our ready and planting plants, and many of them have just been baked. It's too hot. They just cannot survive in this much heat. And so it's disappointing to see that some of our tomato plants, for example, are just having a terrible time. And we've lost all of our squashes, not because of overwatering or anything like that. It's just too hot. The ozone layer is not the way it used to be. And we're getting so much of these blue rays and this terrible heat. So it's harder to live and be healthy, I
Right,
think, than it used to be.
right now, sweetheart, we're going through a COVID-19 epidemic, and one of the signs of getting this particular disease is that people cannot breathe, and,
No.
it's it's a it's a terrible thing when you cannot breathe.
And they go on ventilators. And oftentimes, when a patient, they say, we do not know that experience because we're not medical doctors and we're not in a hospital situation. But we've been told by medical doctors when they go on ventilators, oftentimes that's not really good. Their lungs become filled with fluid and other things. And so we feel that it's so very important talk about health talk like we did years ago, so that people can do what they need to do to keep their immune system healthy. And they can do that, we believe, with and implementing in their life these 10 doctors. And we only planned on talking about the 4 today. So there are more things that we can tell you about because it's very important.
Years ago, sweetheart, you were a singer, and you used to sing in front of large
Yes,
audiences.
I was an opera singer, actually.
Did that require you to take deep breaths and then
Oh my, yeah,
be able to control your
absolutely. Yes. Hi, Liz. We can see your picture again. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that they wanted to take a reading of my lung capacity, and they put a tube of something around my nose and mouth, and they made me blow out. And I blew it right across the floor, right across the room, because I had oversized lungs from singing. Since I was a year old, I was singing, so my lungs are oversized. But I think that's helped me to have a health because my siblings are not healthy, and two of my siblings are already dead, and I'm the oldest one. So we need to breathe and breathe healthfully. And deep breathing from the diaphragm is another thing that we could talk a lot about because a lot of people are chest breathers. We don't want to be that. We want to breathe from the diaphragm and get that good air so that we can get the bad air out. Good air in, bad air out, and get rid of those toxins. So I think we spent quite a bit of time on air, but we can go back to water because that's one that you were a little bit lax on, sweetheart, once in a while.
Well, once in a while I get a little bit busy and I don't drink the amount of water that I should. And so I get a little bit of what we call dry mouth and saliva sticking together.
Yeah.
And so I need to make a little adjustment in that from time to time.
Right. And Liz, you can chime in anytime you feel that you would like to, because we went through the four doctors much faster than we usually do, I guess. And so if you've got anything to add about air or water, we'd be happy to hear it.
Okay, I definitely will chime in quick. We have about 10 minutes left, so maybe few moments. There's something on it as you guys are going over the doctors today. And the first one that you went over was godly trust. And so today, since we don't have any callers calling in, I would to ask a question, guys. And I think it's a question. Okay, I think it's a question that's on all of our minds. And that is this. In today's world, with this coronavirus, with COVID-19 going around everywhere, people are stressed, people are scared, people don't know, they've lost their jobs, they don't know where their next paycheck is coming from, and they're saying, how can I trust God when everything looks like it's falling apart? How can I have this unshakable trust that you're talking about? I'm stressed, my family's stressed, my kids are stressed, my spouse is stressed, and I just can't help but be stressed. What advice would you have for someone coming to you saying that?
Well, I've often heard it said, and I know from my own experience, that I guess we're getting a little feedback here. It's always darkest before dawn. And when God says that He will go through our hardest trials with us, I believe He does. And as I said, the Psalm, the 21st Psalm, 21st, yeah, 21st Psalm. Okay, I should remember numbers here. Tells us that we don't have to fear because He's got it covered. Even though things look very, very rough, we are told that man's extremities is what opportunities start. And I don't think we've been together now for quite some time. I've never found it's failed us yet.
Hasn't. Yeah, I think you develop this trust in God by I guess you'd have to call it trial and error.
Yeah, really.
Because when you put your trust in God and He comes through, and He has come through for you and I many, many times in our lives, and we've had so many times that we've reached the end of our rope and end of our road, and so we just fall on our knees and we ask the Lord to take charge and take over, and He just does it more often than we can almost count.
Well, I remember one thing in particular, Liz, that you know very well about when I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. That was how many years ago, sweetheart? Over 20 years ago. And back then, honey, ovarian cancer, not too many people got by with that one. That was oftentimes considered, you're just not going to get better from that. And I was told that I had tumors on my ovaries. One was the size of a lemon, when one was the size of a walnut. And they wanted to do surgery and chemotherapy and radiation. And Duane and I said, no, we are going to do this naturally. Well, we were told that I would be dead in 2 years. We went to the Lord in prayer, and especially this verse in the Bible. Do you remember me telling you Exodus 15:26? The Lord promises, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God. Are we about ready to? I'll have to go back, I guess, at another time and tell you how I was healed naturally from ovarian cancer. So, Liz, back to you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that good advice. We can always strengthen ourselves in the Word and going to God's Word. So thank you so much for joining us today, viewers. And we want you to know that the doctors of Medusa International are naturopathic doctors, not allopathic doctors. They do not prescribe, cure, or diagnose anything. This information given by them, either oral or written, has been used traditionally by complementary medical practitioners, integrative medical doctors, and natural health care practitioners. All information and recommendations given by them are not intended to substitute for medical advice. Please consult your healthcare physician before acting on any of the suggestions presented in this program. Meduna Health International and the doctors McEndree disclaim any liability, loss, injury, or damage incurred as a consequence, directly or indirectly, by the use and application of the advice contained herein. It is the responsibility of the reader or hearer of this information to research the accuracy and usefulness of all information found in this program or at their website, medunahealthinternational.org. Again, we thank you for spending time with us today. It is our prayer that some of the information you heard today will help to improve. We will see you again next week, same time, same broadcast network. Once again, that's Tuesday from 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Advent Broadcast Network. We will be looking for you, and please remember how very much God loves you. Thank you again, Drs. McEndree, and now back to you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Liz. I'd like to really thank you for taking us through the program. May God really bless you. Thank you so much, Dr. Nancy and Dr. Duane McEndree. We are looking forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you,
See
Jane.
you next week.
Thank you so much, our viewers, for staying with us to the end. It's been a very educative program. We have learnt about the 4 doctors that we have in our lives today. We have godly trust, water, rest, and fresh air. And I'm hoping it has blessed you, and we will subscribe to this more and more often so that we may maintain a healthy lifestyle. Until next time, I've been your host for today, Jane Nguena.